RJ, as we kick off this Emerald City Hockey post-game live, as the Kraken have just, set a new franchise record with 9 wins in a row, there are just so many things to talk about, such as, look, you win this one, RJ, but it was ugly, right? Like
Yeah.
this was an ugly game, no ways around that, but you still pick up the win. The fact that they completed the flat stick pub challenge, RJ, they made it through all 9 holes, they got 9 wins, they did it. Our lovely sponsor, Flat Stick Sports. But I think despite like everything that happened, there's obviously the injuries. We got to be concerned about those guys. I'm also concerned for somebody out in our audience because RJ, I'm worried about Gregory because all these wins gonna bankrupt him with all this lemon lime Gatorade, baby.
I know. I mean, hey, get some Gatorade stock, right? Or whoever the parent company is. I mean, I think there's enough lemon lime Gatorade going around with this win streak. I mean, their sales must be way up.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be. But you know what? It still tastes good. Each and every time it tastes so good. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Like I said earlier, Kraken 9 wins in a row, RJ. Like they're just unstoppable. This was by far and away their worst game, I would say, this whole 9-game stretch. And they still won and put up 7.
Yeah, and you know what? They're finding ways to win. And in a season where they certainly found a lot of ways to lose early on, you'll take that. It's refreshing. I think it could be a very good wake-up call for them, certainly going forward. But that's great when you can get 2 points in a wake-up call type of game.
Definitely. So real quick before I get over to the super chats and the chat, got to mention Flat Stick Pub one more time, the wonderful sponsor we have for these. Again, everybody, at the South Lake Union location, which is kind of like our flagship for our sponsorship here. They have the $1 off beer for all these wins. I mean, it's all games. You get the $1 off beer, but through all this win streak, and especially now that they're over on the East Coast, get off work and head over there, watch the end of the game. 6:43 and enjoy some beer. Just saying some good stuff they got there. All right, over to the super chats here, and Sergeant Pickles kicking us off with 2 super chats back to back here from Sergeant Pickles. By the way, loving the UW new avatar there over here on YouTube for you, Sergeant Pickles. First up, Duds, Maddie and Berkey, Decord's 2-goal or less streak, mental mistake, 5v3. Studs, Dundertaker with the tombstone, Yanni Canner 300 Club, touchdown Kraken, and franchise record streaking through the quad. And then the second super chat, and best of all, 2 new tiny members of the Pickles clan have signed lifetime contracts with the Kraken. Congratulations to you and your wife on the 2 new additions. I know you've been super pumped about that for a long time. Wonderful to hear.
Congrats, Sergeant Pickles. That is awesome. And great timing with the Kraken doing as well as they are. So happy for you.
Definitely. Now, to get through the other stuff, RJ, I mean, the first thing up, right? Duds, Maddie and Berkey, lose both of them in this game. That's tough.
It is. I mean, that has to be the biggest concern going forward after this game. With Maddie, I think we all know what happened. We all saw the hit there. And hopefully it's the kind of thing that's precautionary. There is potentially concussion protocol he may have had to go through. And at a certain point too, I mean, if even cleared with maybe 8 minutes to go in the game, are you really going to send him back out there with the score being what it is? So hopefully it's that kind of case, praying for the best on that. And then Andre Burakovsky, I mean, that one is the most puzzling, but also, I guess, predictable at this point. Dylan, did you see anything there? I watched the last shifts that he took. There was nothing obvious to me.
Yeah, I saw nothing too. So I have no idea what that could be. But I mean, he was ruled out. It seemed like pretty quick after it happened.
Yeah, he was. I mean, that's bad news any way you slice it. I mean, hopefully it's not too serious, but the guy just can't catch a break.
Yeah, definitely. And then, hey, Joey Decord in this one. Look, he still made some big-time saves, especially in that third period, RJ. He still had a really good game. I think certainly those first 2 goals, you can't really pin on him. But, look, it was the worst game he's had this whole stretch, too. Like, there's no way around that at the same time. But you know what? Kraken still got the win.
Yeah, and you know what? He made clutch saves when he needed to. This is one of those where sometimes the timely saves are the most important. And also you could feel the trajectory. He got better as the game went on, which was really important. Given that the Kraken were able to score some goals for him and help him out, this time they kind of bailed him out a little bit.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Next super chat up here from Light, kind of touching on something also from that Sergeant Pickles one. Canner getting 300 and 301 tonight. He's been in the league since 2015-16 and has scored 146 points as a Kraken. This is his home, not even close. I mean, Yanni Gord getting to 300, RJ. Jared McCann blowing past it in this one there as much as you can anyway. And yeah, I mean, this is Jared McCann's home. He in the middle of that very rough first season committed to this being his home.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he was the first Kraken player to really do that. And this is the place where he's kind of found himself and his game. And he's one of a few players you could say that with for the Kraken. And I love that it's a destination for players to kind of find their best selves and figure out who they are as a hockey player. I know, I saw Vince Dunn mentioned a little bit later, another super chat. He's another guy just like that. But great milestone for McCann tonight. Also getting off the schneid too. He hadn't scored in 9 games and then scores tonight, gets a couple. And you know that feels like the floodgates opening for him.
Yes. Were you at all concerned when you saw him score that the win streak was then at jeopardy? Because there was a part of me that was like, oh no, I don't know that these two things can exist together.
No, I wasn't, because Jared McCann scoring goals is never a bad thing. And I think, he was just, I don't coincides with the win streak, but that was a huge goal too. Like if he
Yes, it
doesn't
was.
score that, then maybe it's a very different game. The
Oh,
first one.
definitely. No, definitely. No, I was on board with it. It was just there was a small part of me that was just
No, I
like,
gotcha. The
especially with
vibes.
how bad the Kraken were playing to start this one. I mean, this was they've started rough all the games of this road trip, RJ, but this one, I mean, it was a brutal 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was the worst, I think, of their starts during the win streak. And certainly over the first just couple minutes, they looked like
Yeah.
another league from Columbus. Like the Blue Jackets look so much faster.
Definitely. And that rolls right into the next super chat here from Chip. That was a sloppy game, but it was one of the most entertaining for me. Dunn sticking up for Maddie had me so proud. Canner is no longer snake bit, and a franchise record of 9 wins. A win's a win. And that is true, RJ, right? It is 2 points in the standings. That's all that matters at the end of the day. They don't care how you got it, just that you got it.
And Chip's absolutely right. It was entertaining. It may have
Yeah.
actually been the most entertaining, and maybe aside from the Winter Classic, of those. I mean, if you just look at the on ice, probably the most entertaining. So much going on. Dylan,
Yes.
these previous 8 games, I texted you, did not prepare me for all the stuff that
No.
was going on. I was struggling to keep up on Twitter, clipping all the videos, just having things to say about everything. So much going on in this one.
Yeah, I mean, look, 11 total goals. You get multiple penalties and the situations around that, the injuries, which are, of course, unfortunate. I mean, there was a lot going on in this one, that is for sure. You did a great job over on the Twitter, though, RJ,
Thank you,
as you
Dylan.
always do. Leanne with the super chat here. Very special number there, Leanne. I can see what you're doing there. My boy got his groove back. That he did. Jared McCann, I mean, look, he's back on the board. RJ picks up 2, and it's one of those things where, look, the Kraken were rolling despite him, being in that scoreless drought. Now, if he's going to be back on board, he's going to be able to pick up goals like this. He's going to, kind of get back to his regular scoring pace of, say, every third game or so. I mean, it's just going to help them continue this role that they're on, right? Like, as bad as this game was, I still don't see a reason why they can't just keep rolling.
Yeah, I don't either. And I mean, I know the injuries are a concern, but that's why you have the kind of forward depth you do. And McCann in particular, a guy who was unfortunately on the 4th line, just given how much depth the Kraken had at forward. Certainly if Burakovsky misses time, if Matty Beniers misses time, McCann can go right back up and fill those minutes and can certainly be a top 6 player. I mean, he's their leading goal scorer. So I think, he should have no problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, Kraken, they score 7 from 6 different goal scorers, which is, of course, always impressive. The defenseman getting involved, too. Brian Dumoulin scoring a goal. And that one was just like, oh, okay, I guess we're at that level of this game. Dumoulin's
That
just
was
going to score
pretty
here.
too. That's how you know everything's going right when Brian Dumoulin. I think it was his first goal in 30 games. But it seems like every goal he scores, there's some element of skill with it. Whether it was the last game where he scored, I think he had 2 goals in that one. But
Yeah.
some nice toe drags. He's capable of it.
Oh, definitely. He's able to get it going when he needs to, and it's a lot of fun to watch when it happens. Thank you everybody so much for the super chats. We really appreciate that. Heading over into the comment section here now, RJ. I mean, Zoe kicked us off with the Maddie and Berkey again. We'll have updates for everybody, on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff when we have updates, but especially with them being on the road, I don't even know that we'll necessarily get them early tomorrow. Like it's
Yeah,
a travel day and everything.
I wouldn't expect that. I would think probably in the morning of Monday morning, maybe right
Yeah.
before the
The
game.
game, the game that was, for in case you don't know, everybody, the game has moved to 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, because I guess they're trying to avoid the Steelers playoff game in Pittsburgh. There's, I think,
Yep,
what they're
that's
doing.
what it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, early afternoon post game. Next game should be
Yes.
interesting.
It's gonna be very interesting right around lunchtime. So we're gonna have to plan on that, RJ. Just know we're
Yep.
gonna
And
figure
really
that out.
happy for all of you on across the pond on the other side, whether it's
Yes.
Europe or the UK. Finally, a game in your evening time.
Yep, lots of comments we got about that. Really, really happy for all of them. But it's one of those things, I guess the first indicator that we'll have about Maddie and or Berkey, RJ, will just be if we see them make a move tomorrow.
Yeah,
Roster
that's
wise.
true. I guess they would want to get somebody called up potentially. I know you do have Shore and Yamamoto as extras, but if they're both out, you'd probably want somebody else.
Yeah, that would be the first indication of anything. Certainly same with the dance emojis, because we are back for another dance party. I'm not getting tired of it too either, RJ, right? Like, I'll just keep dancing as long as this team keeps winning.
Unlike me, you've got moves for days, Dylan.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Well, off ice, we'll say that. I think
Yeah.
the role reversal when we're on ice. Nicole, wow, we look so bad at times. 9 in a row, though, baby, that we did Schultz a win through adversity. I think that's a really good way of putting it. And then, Greg, I literally don't know what to say at this point. Justin Fuego, enjoy this, everyone. That's where we're at. I mean, just enjoy it, everybody.
Yeah, definitely. On a win streak like this, you got to enjoy the games, even if they're the uglier type of wins. Certainly, if they're like an entertaining win like this, if you got an ugly 2-1 win, maybe it's a little harder to enjoy. But this one, just enjoy the chaos. Just enjoy everything except the injuries.
Yep, definitely, definitely. And then here we go from Gregory. It's level I'm Gatorade time, baby. 9 wins in a row. Pastor Canner and Bjorky with 300 career points each. Getting the 10th win in Pittsburgh, being from DC as a Caps fan, would be chef's kiss. Oh my gosh, that would mean a lot to Gregory, I'm sure.
Wouldn't that be nice, Dylan?
Mm-hmm. I'm fine with it. Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. I've got no allegiances still to the Penguins, right? Like I'm not covering that team. I'm not in that locker room when I'm around games, right? I'm not working with that fan base, getting lemon lime Gatorade from that fan base, right? Like my allegiances are definitely with the Kraken.
Fair enough. Just think about Crosby's face, Dylan.
What he's been sad a bunch in his career. He could be sad for one game on a Monday morning. I think he'll live. I think he'll live. Let's see. Yeah, Maddie hoping that hopefully Maddie is just in concussion protocol. Just so much excitement over the 9-game win streak here. Lindsay wasn't the prettiest start, but they found a way to get it done. Franchise best 9 W's in a row, baby. Woo! And of course, happy birthday to Lindsay. Birthday was yesterday, so everybody in chat can give Lindsay another shout out there. B, anyone else not able to watch the game tonight because of weather-related power and internet outages? Crying emoji, but their streak continues. B, oh no! I hope you're okay dealing with all that stuff. That can definitely be rough, especially in the more inclement weather.
Yeah, there's some nasty weather in the Pacific Northwest going on right now. I mean, I think it's like 15 degrees outside my apartment right now.
You've got the Northeast, you've got a football game being played right now in what feels like negative 22, RJ. No snow, by the way. It's just that cold. Crazy.
Yeah, that's just a little bit more extreme version of what's going on right here.
Yeah. No, everybody just stay safe if you have to leave the house, all that kind of stuff, of course. Want to get that out there as the chat just totally jumped on me here. Circling Seattle Sports. Hey guys. Hey, I guess.
You're doing all right.
Yep. They're looking really resilient. Love their turnaround. All taking turns carrying the load too from Scott, and that is a big thing, RJ. Like I said earlier, you got six different goal scorers tonight. Different group than what we've been seeing, right? Jordan Eberle just scored his 5th goal of the season, only his 5th, RJ, this season. Jared McCann gets back on the board. Ty Cartier has been heating up. I mean, really, when you look at this, like, yes, you get the empty netter from Tolvanen. Bjorkstrand gets on the board. But a lot of this is just, it's one of those every night a group of people are stepping up. It's not even just one person stepping up. It's a group of people.
And I think one of the more reassuring signs, too, is that even after Burakovsky was injured and Beniers, too, you had the line blender in full effect, and it didn't stop their ability to generate offense and to finish. That's how you know the team is really going, when you can even mix up the lines, sometimes when you have to mix up the lines, and they're still producing.
Oh, definitely. Nicole, this is kind of like that Blackhawks game we let get a little out of hand during last season's streak. Yeah, I think every streak, RJ, you're going to run into one of those where the game, it just starts going in a direction. You know what I mean? Like there's things happening, things are going on, and that's just where it ends up.
Yeah, and you just have to kind of get out of there unscathed, it feels like, just where you can have a day to regroup before you get back into a better rhythm. It's kind of like in within a period, if it's going really poorly, you just got to get to intermission. I think it was that, but in the game sense, and there's no reason they can't just, get back to where they were.
Definitely. Via Ren. Riker next game, pretty pleased. Joey maybe looking ready for a rest too. So, I mean, there's two things here. One, I don't think they're going to put in Riker until there's either an injury or they lose a game, right? Like they're not going to change anything there, in my opinion.
I think you're right, but you know what? I would put him in. I saw enough negatives from Justin Schultz tonight that I would put Riker in favor of instead of Justin Schultz next game. If I was Hackstall, that's what I would do.
Yeah, well, and certainly if you feel like if say you are down a couple forwards, maybe you want to help, more offense going there, maybe. And then from a goaltending standpoint, RJ, this was a question that I wanted to ask you because what do? You've got this back-to-back coming up on Monday and Tuesday, right? You've got Joey. Obviously, you're not going to have him play both of those. In your opinion, what would be better, to rest him for that first game, give him an extra day of rest before then the Tuesday game, and then you play again on Thursday and it gets more back into a regular schedule for him from that point on? Or do you want to get him back out there as soon as possible on Monday and then give him a couple days off before you head to Edmonton on Thursday?
I would have Drieger play the next game against Pittsburgh and then just have Joey kind of try and get back into that rhythm, get one more game against New York on the second half of the back-to-back before the biggest game of this road trip, I think, which is the 18th against Edmonton. I want him just a little bit, more in practice for that one. And especially given how this one went, an extra day off probably isn't the worst thing in the world for him.
Yeah, I would do that given how this all went down tonight. I think that would be the way that I would do it, especially because it's a morning start, right? Like when other time in this season are you going to be starting a game at 10 in the morning if you're the Kraken, RJ? You're not, right? Like that doesn't happen. So I think just given that it's already kind of weird and it's going to be putting everybody a little off to begin with, I think you should probably go ahead and make that the Drieger start and just roll with that.
Yeah.
Stratic,
Although one more time, actually, April 14th at St. Louis will be a 10 a.m. start time, weirdly enough.
Of course, the NHL's got
just have to correct you.
They've just got to do this to me. What, you put all 16 teams playing on the first day of NFL playoffs because it's the way the NHL rolls, RJ, and then start half the games at the same time.
What an idea!
I know. Next red glare, man. I'm going off. Stratic, I thought tonight was Gordie Howe hat trick night for sure. I'm with you, Stratic. This was the first time that I legit thought we were going to get something like that just because of the weird energy that this game started off with. The back and forth goals are just bouncing in and trickling in all over the place. It just looks sloppy. You could tell that there was some stuff going on, like the early bit, RJ, when when Yanni Gord has to pull his helmet out of his jersey. You just knew like tonight was going to be a weird one.
I've never seen that before, Dylan. Have you? Can you remember anything like that?
No.
I was looking at him coming off of the scrum, and he's just like, he's got something there, and he pulls it out. It's a helmet. I've never seen anything like that. And the thing is, the replay too, he was so deep in that scrum. There were so many Blue Jackets all over him. You couldn't see how it happened. I was looking to try and find how it happened. You can't tell.
Because he comes out of there's the initial time where like all three of them cartoonishly just swallow him up, right? Yeah. And then the next thing you know, the linesman is pulling him out and he's pulled out without a helmet. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fairly normal in a situation like that. And then the next thing you know, he's skating away and he's pulling his helmet up out of his jersey. It made no sense. Nothing about that made sense. I love it though. I love it.
He's so smiling and laughing at it too. He knew it was great.
Yes, definitely. Bach, gonna tell my future kids about Kraken hockey. I mean, this is Kraken hockey, baby. Pulling helmets up out of your jersey. It doesn't get much more peak than that.
Oh man.
Oh man, some good stuff here. Clayton letting us know Pepsi owns Gatorade, so there you go. And Nicole, can't imagine how many electrolytes Dylan's been getting over the streak. Definitely. And I know Gregory, your super chat came in a little late. Just so you know, Gregory, I did start talking about you in the Gatorade to kick off the post game, so you could go back and check that out if you missed it at the very beginning there. Lindsay, look, I wore the Joker jersey tonight, and all I'm saying is that the Kraken haven't lost a single game since I bought this thing, so I'm going to hold off getting it changed for now. RJ, do you want to fill everybody in? Because Lindsay, you brought this up. You brought this up first. We'll talk about it. Would you like to fill everybody in on that joke, RJ?
Yeah, we could talk about it now. So, okay, Lindsay got an Oliver Bjorkstrand Winter Classic jersey, or so she thought. They swapped a couple of the letters, so it was BJOKRSTRAND, the Joker Strand. And so we saw that after the Winter Classic and having the little fan meetup and everything. And so she showed that off and said, of course, going to get it changed. But I don't know. The longer this win streak goes on,
it adds
the
to
less
the
it makes sense to change it, right?
It adds to the legend of the Bajoker. It does. Oh, good for owning it, Lindsay. Good for just owning it. That's awesome. Oh, I love it. Love it. Gary, you trail 3 times in a game and you win by 3 goals. We may not lose again. That is true. Like I can't remember the last time I saw a team do that, RJ, right? Like you trailed multiple times in this one. You had to find a way to claw yourself back. But you know what? The Kraken, like it feels like if they could just survive that first period, keeping it close at all, then they're set.
Right, as long as they just didn't go behind by too much, and they responded every time. You don't like to go and have a deficit again right afterward, but it showed, I think, again, this is one of those games where because of the opponent, you can get away with not playing your best game, but eventually just the talent difference just showed itself by the end of the game.
It does. And Kraken captains here. Wake up call is good with the next couple games on tap. And yeah, I think there is an element of that to this one, right? Because you came in, this is by far and away the worst team from a standings perspective that you've had to deal with this trip, both the road trip and the winning streak. And look, they gave you problems, right? Like it shows you that on any given night in the NHL, something could happen, or potentially every given morning with the next game, something could happen. And I do feel like this was something where I do think the Kraken probably were going to need that at some point, especially given how rough they'd started both of the last 2 games and had that continue into this one. I feel like this was one where, look, you're kind of lucky you were playing Columbus, because if you start that bad and you play that bad, like kind of as long as they did in this one against a better team, really either Pittsburgh or the Rangers, I don't know that you can keep it close and get back into it later.
Right. I mean, really, any of the next 4 opponents, with Edmonton and Toronto coming up after that, it's going to be difficult. But I think you really want to be hitting the film hard after this one, and not necessarily in a, okay, you screwed this up way, just kind of getting that mindset back together, like, tightening up mentally a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those where you have to, if you're the coaching staff, if you're team player leadership, you got to be asking everybody, okay, what is it about our games recently that's causing us to start like this, right? Like, why are we struggling this road trip to get going, to come out fast, to come out strong? Because I mean, this one, RJ, the puck was dropped and it was like Columbus had 5 shots on goal instantly, right? Like it was ugly to start this game.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, again, like they looked in different leagues, just the speed that Columbus came out with. I just like, have I ever seen a team this fast? But I think it was just the Kraken playing as slow as they were, certainly given how the game continued to go. They just weren't ready for puck drop tonight. And I mean, credit to them for not going down by too much, before getting their legs. But you have to start better than that. You can't get away with that against other teams.
Definitely. Craziest stat about this streak, Kraken still have fewer wins, 19, than losses, 23. Shows how big a hole they had to dig out of was, but somehow they are doing it. Yes, I mean, look, it helps out that 9 of those 23 losses were overtime losses, so you're at least getting, a point out of them for the standings. That certainly helps you out. But it was, like, I went back, RJ, and I believe it was Gino Miaukin after the conversation we had last time on postgame here about who was first star of the game and how often it had been Joey Decord. At that point, it was 5 times in a row. I'm guessing he didn't get it tonight. Just taking a wild guess there.
Yeah.
And Gino Miaukin had put together this great chart over on Discord with all the wins and losses and everything, and then who the first stars were. And it was color coded so that, you know, the losses were red and then the wins were green. And boy, when you go back to the beginning of the season, it was like, you know, 4 reds, a green, a couple more reds, a green, some more reds, a green, a whole lot of red, a green. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't even just the 8-game losing streak, right? It was they had a lot of losses piling up just right from the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really deep hole, and it was something we kind of knew at that time too, where we didn't want to necessarily be all like kind of doomsaying about it because, we knew it wasn't over for them, but still, I mean, if you tell the Kraken after that 8-game losing streak at the end of that, you could win 9 games in a row. You could just go rattle off 9 straight wins, and you're still not going to be in a playoff spot by points percentage, which they're actually not right now, which is kind of crazy. They're doing the work to pull their way back, but I mean, there's a lot that had to go right once they were at that point.
Definitely. I mean, it was tough, but people like Justin, Lindsay in here letting us know Kings lost tonight. We're only 1 point behind them for 3rd in the Pacific. It's within our grasp, according to Lindsay, RJ. I mean, look, the Kings have some game in hand. Edmonton's got some games in hand, right? Like they're going to have something to say about all this. But the Kraken, they're back there. They are tied with both teams that are in wildcard spots, RJ. You are down to a net neutral as far as your goal differential. Oh my gosh, I didn't think I'd see that this fast, RJ, right? Like that's been another aspect of this winning streak that they've been able to do is erase that issue that they had. I mean, they are certainly putting themselves in a good spot, even if it maybe isn't going to necessarily end up being 3rd in the Pacific.
Yeah, and again, it just matters if you get in the top 8. That's all you need to do is just get in the playoffs. Seeding means nothing, and they're certainly in the conversation there. You keep playing like this, just game in, game out. Well, maybe not necessarily like tonight, but the last 9 games as a whole, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah, definitely. Jake here bringing up something. If Maddie's down a couple games, do we bring up Shane? Right. And I think this does become an interesting question, right? Like I see everybody else talking about Berkey and losing him and the fact that he's been hurt so much this year. We know what the plan is if Berkey's going to be out for a little while, right? Because we've seen that a lot this year. We haven't seen too many injuries down the middle, though, right? Like Belmar went out, but you had guys that you could fill in there. You had Shore fill in there if you needed him, right? We've seen Ty Cartier, Jared McCann play down the middle if you need him, but we haven't seen somebody in the top 9, right? One of your big 3 centers go down yet this year, RJ. Do you think with one of them going down that it would just be Shore as next man up, or do you think they'd want to bring in somebody with maybe a little bit more upside in a Shane Wright?
I think Shore would be next man up into the lineup. And I mean, look, who's your 4th line center right now going into this game? It's Jared McCann. It's someone you can easily slide up the lineup. So I don't think you really have a need for Shane Wright right now, as long as Beniers is the only center out. Let him continue to cook in Coachella Valley. Let him keep doing his thing. Maybe later this season, if you feel like you need a boost or, it seems ready, but I wouldn't rush it. Certainly not because of injuries.
Definitely.
Can I read a comment here?
Yes, go for it.
So this one I see from Julia down a little bit further in chat. Just leaving Nationwide Arena. So glad to see Dunn drop his gloves and take care of biz for Maddie. And then also saying great win and tons of Kraken in attendance. So I'm guessing there's a fair amount of Kraken fans there. So thank you for tuning in, Julia, from just leaving the arena. Hope you had a good time at the game.
Definitely. I mean, I got to imagine if you're supporting the Kraken, you had a good time at this one. I know the Root broadcast showed a little boy not having such a good time at this game, the Columbus fan, which is understandable. But yeah, hope you had a good time at this game. I mean, we know a couple people in Columbus that support the Kraken, and yeah, I got to imagine everybody who was there at this one enjoyed this one. I mean, look, you get the Undertaker fight, RJ, get the Cartier party, right? It's like you get it all in this one.
Yes, so much drama going on. To be in the building too, especially for the Undertaker moment.
That would have been huge.
I've been in the building for a few Undertaker moments. They are all special.
This one though, like really coming in to the defense of Maddie after that big hit, like that one, that's got to be such an electric moment just to be around and experience. Like that's got to be really, really cool for
Yeah.
sure. Got a super chat here from Brian. We've played the 10th toughest schedule to this point in the season. The rest of the way, we have the third easiest schedule. Love it. Thanks, ECH. You're, of course, very welcome, Brian. Love these East Coast games. You get to join us for them a little bit more regularly. Yeah, I mean, that is true, right? Like the schedule has been brutal up until now. Get lots of easier games down the stretch, RJ. That's going to help them as they try to overcome that rough start to the season that they had.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Brian, because I noticed that the other day, that graphic from Dom Lucian with the Athletic. And yeah, the Kraken have had the 10th toughest schedule so far, third easiest going forward. I mean, that's going to bode really well for them going forward. And we've said it all season, right? Especially during the losing streaks and everything, like the schedule will lighten up. The schedule will get easier, like maybe not right away, but in 2024, things are going to get better. And it certainly seems like that's the case. And I mean, tonight, that could be a perfect example, right? This is one where the schedule, having an opponent that's maybe as bad as Columbus, helps you get 2 points you wouldn't have otherwise had.
Exactly. Oh, I definitely like put stock in something like that. I really do. Here's one from Coop. I really wish Maddie and other guys would like be ready for those hits, even though they shouldn't happen. Like he shouldn't get hit like that, but he just assumes that guy's gonna stop. You've always got to protect yourself. Now, this is an interesting one, RJ, because I get where Coop's coming from on this one, right? Like Maddie holds onto that puck. He's kind of button hooking. He's waiting for guys to go into the zone. He's looking for a play to make. I understand that. You are close to the board. You've got somebody barreling down on you. It's still tough, right? Because it's still a hit that you don't want to see somebody make because of how dangerous it can be, as we saw, and how brutal it can be. But also at the same time, I do think there maybe is a little something to that of like you can move the puck or you can put yourself in a better spot to absorb that hit even. I think if you're Maddie.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do think there is an element of responsibility there. And again, I think it goes both ways, right? I don't think Sillinger should follow through on that hit in that spot. But also looking at it, because I was just pulling up the replay here to make sure I was seeing it right. Maddie does check over his shoulder. He sees that Sillinger's there and that he's coming. He knows he's there. And when you know a guy is there, I know you want to make the play with the puck, but you have to do a little bit better job bracing yourself for it.
Right, because he waits to get rid of it till the last second. Right, like Maddie basically still has that puck. Like when the hit's there, like it's definitely.
I mean, you can still do that. Like there's ways to still do that and know the guy is coming, and maybe even give him a little pop yourself because you know he's coming. Right, a little reverse hit. That's one where I'd love to see one of the veteran players on the Kraken. Maybe it's a Yanni Gord or someone like that. Kind of take Maddie aside in practice or whatever, and just kind of show him, okay, look on one like that where a guy's coming in at you, and you see him. Here's how you go. Give it right back to him.
Right, exactly, because you have opportunity there to get low and use his own momentum against him, right? I mean, oh boy, back in the day, RJ, are you kidding that? He could have gone down for like a hip check, sent him into his own bench there, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could have done some real damage to Sillinger. Yeah, I think that is something that Maddie could learn a little bit in this situation. I don't think Coop's that far off there at all. Let's see. Okay, so now we're winning with Joey posting an 889 save percentage. Tell Grubauer he can come back now. We got this from Brian.
Yeah.
Yep. That casual guy, fourth in the Pacific. Are we still in the hunt for playoffs here? Definitely. Oh my gosh. Yes, we are.
Right in the thick of the hunt.
Spot. Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Dylan, one more thing on Grubauer, though. Do you think it's kind of odd that we haven't seen him? Again, we haven't been on the road and seeing what the practices look like, but it seems like he's I haven't heard anything about him ramping it up at practice or getting ready again. It seems like a return seemed imminent, right? Before the Winter Classic. He just couldn't make it. And now I wonder about that timeline. Like if they were at home, I would be asking Hackstall about that. Just like, hey, any update on the Grubauer timeline? Like when are we thinking of seeing him? Because it does seem a little odd to me.
It is really odd because yes, the word around the Winter Classic was he tried really hard and he got close to being able to play in that game and he just wasn't able to. But we're now, 13 days, we're almost 2 weeks away from that. You would assume then that he would have been back by now. So yeah, I'm kind of with you. I don't know what that means really, other than if he was close to coming back for just that game, maybe, right? Like they were going to really push it for the Winter Classic and then, give him a break afterwards. I know some of that has to just be because Joey Decord's playing really well. Drigger looked good in his one spot start, but if he's really been supporting Joey and they've been like a thing, maybe you don't want to rock that boat too much. But I still got to think if he was ready to go, they would have made a move by now.
Yeah, I would think so. I don't know. It'll be interesting to kind of see where that goes. I mean, those injuries with goalies are always super dicey.
Yes. Team Spindles, Dumoulin's goal was so pretty. Thoughts on his first half? I would assume you mean first half of the season. I mean, we did say last time that we would do player grades, mid-season grades for the next podcast. I was going to talk to you about this, RJ, because grades are kind of hard for multiple reasons that I'll lay out on the podcast. I think we could do a report card without having to do grades, right? Like things we've been impressed by and things they can work on, right? Like an area they've been doing really well, area they need improvement. What do you think for each?
What, compliment sandwich for each player?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking.
Okay, maybe we could do something like that.
With grades, too many of them, especially as they're in the middle of a 9-game win streak, too many of them always feel like they're the same. Like we always give a bunch of players like the same grade, and I hate doing that. And if you give like one player out of a certain group a really bad grade, well, then it's like you got to worry about him hearing about it, walking into the locker room and dealing with that potentially. And so I feel like if we just take everybody individually and we say like they've been really good at this is the area that I'd love to see them improve the second half. Like I feel like then you're still doing a report card type thing, but it's not quite the same as like when we just kind of give everybody like B pluses because they can still be better here, but they've done so good so far.
Yeah, no, I think you can kind of get lost in the letter grade, and I think that's probably a better system. I trust you on these sorts of things.
I don't know. I mean, if everybody really hates that idea, we'll do
everyone. Yeah, weigh in. I mean, we've got a chat here, right?
Yes.
Rebecca saying progress report.
Yeah, like it is. It's kind of more like that. Like I think that's the way to go about it. I just think as somebody,
especially as like a mid-season thing, end of season grades, then I feel more comfortable giving like a judgment. I could put a letter to it for end of season for a whole season body of work. I have no problem doing that.
Yeah, because every year when we do the mid seasons, it's always kind of like it feels like an incomplete grade because they've still got half of their.
We give out several incompletes. We really do. Yeah. I mean, Grubauer would probably be chief among them at this point.
Exactly. Edward with the super chat here. Kraken playing like the Beatles with win number 9. Am I missing the reference there?
Is it a Beatles reference? Is there some kind of song?
Yes. Okay, thank you. That was so I just read it poorly. That's on me. Sorry, Edward. I'll own that one. That's good. Let's see. I generally hate the old heads in hockey complaining about young guys and hits, etc. But they're definitely a trend of guys just totally not expecting to get hit and putting themselves in terrible spots. Just Coop rounding out that thought there. I agree with that one. Got to be doing a jump here down the chats. Lots of happy birthdays there for Lindsay. Love to see that.
Seems like Sean and Olivia on board with the performance evaluation rather than a grade.
Cool. Let's see. Even with this win, the Oilers just won in overtime, so we're still out of a wild card spot. No. Yes, they've got to always be one better than us, RJ, with their 10-game win streak.
Well, hey, the Kraken will have something to say about that potentially in a few games.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, and reminder, everybody, you can join us over on Patreon because that is our live game commentary. Oh,
it's going to be such a good game.
18th. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for that one, RJ. It's going to be so good. Oh, and to be able to watch
dueling double-digit win streaks going into that one. Can you imagine?
That's what I wanted. Like, I want that. I think that'll just be so much fun. Stratic, my family members are asking if Fuji has appeared yet.
Fuji has not appeared yet tonight. He is outside the room somewhere, I imagine, playing. He's had so much energy this week. Maybe we could arrange to bring him in here. It'd be fun to get Fuji after a win, but no, not yet.
Yep. And then also from Stratic, what was your favorite goal? Now, there was a lot of them to choose from in this one, RJ. 7 of them. This one's tough. You know what? I'll go first. If you
give me a sec.
Okay, I'll give you a sec. I'm gonna go with the Oliver Bjorkstrand one, just because that power play, they were in the zone the entire power play, struggling to get it in, and on the 7th shot, Bjorky just takes it. He walks in. He finally took advantage of the fact that the Columbus PK unit had been out there the entire time, right? Like it's second period, so it's long change. They were not able to get anybody changed because it was in the zone the entire time. And I was screaming at the TV. You could ask Afra. She'll back me up on this. I was screaming at the TV. like walk it in, like take advantage of the fact that you've got these gassed PKers who can't move, and the Kraken weren't doing a lot of player movement. And so I was really frustrated by that. And then Bjorkstrand gets the puck on his stick. He makes a move around a guy. He walks in, picks the corner, gets the goal. That's good hockey.
That is great, and it's a good choice. I love the puck movement there. I'm going to take it all the way back to the Kraken's first goal in this game, because I love that one. The aerial flip from Adam Larson to hit Jordan Eberle in stride. I mean, that's so hard to do just right. And that goal also kind of stopped the bleeding, at least temporarily. I mean, the Kraken had a really bad start to this one. To at least get on the scoreboard and make it 1-0 so you don't go down multiple goals was huge. And then also to kind of confirm the TV narrative that they were going with, right? I did get to watch a little bit of the pregame show today, and one of the things that Allison Lucan was talking about before the game, she was asking the players about it, and then before on the pregame show, she was talking about it. Stretch passes, stretching the ice with those long passes, and then to see that early in the game, I mean, that's what you love as a TV crew, right? With all the stuff you've just been talking about, comes to fruition there with that first goal. So I liked it from multiple angles there.
Yeah, no, that is good stuff. I like that. And, I mean, I'm always fine with the big cat stretch pass. Like, I'll be okay. The reason I didn't choose it is because I just expect that from him. And then also there was from Christian, I miss Gordo pulling his helmet out of his jersey. Got to clip it, RJ.
I did clip it. It's on the Twitter. It's on the Instagram. Go check it out. The video is up there. Also, Sam pointing out that with the Bjorkstrand goal, it's the first one against his former team.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. It's a revenge goal on top of it all. I mean, that just adds to it. So yeah, I tell you, that was a good goal. Canner got the first star of the game. Bjorkstrand ended up third star as well. Thanks, Zoe, for that. And then Clayton, Vegas is wearing their Winter Classic jerseys tonight. Didn't work out great for them the first time. I love that both teams are wearing the Winter Classic jerseys, RJ. Like, well, at least I love it from the Kraken standpoint because their jerseys are actually good and they look good and they're not like, hard to look at like the Vegas ones. But I really like that they decided to do that the rest of the year, like throw them in for a couple more games.
Yeah, I think that's good they do that. I think we've seen teams do that in the past too. It's it's nice to be able to get to showcase those jerseys in a game where, maybe the fans, certainly for Vegas, I don't know if are they on the road? Are they at home?
They're at home tonight.
Yeah, we're the home fans, if you didn't travel out to Seattle where you can see those jerseys, I mean, as ugly as they are, but in theory, right? It's a good idea.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Christian, love how Ron Francis made the trade for Tatar to show the belief he has in the boys despite the terrible start to the season. I mean, that is true, right? Like, given their record at the time that you make that trade, like, that is the front office really kind of saying, hey, look, I think you guys got this. Like, I'm adding to this group as though it's at the deadline and we're like one of the teams going for it. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and often in that situation, look, we were talking about what trade the Kraken could make because we were saying, okay, either you get rid of the coach or you make a trade. You have to do something like that. And in those situations, I know we were certainly leaning toward most teams would trade away somebody. Yes. They would get rid of somebody, kind of send a message there and see if the remaining group could kind of pick things up. Ron Francis goes the other direction. He gets him some help. And I mean, man, Tatar has been huge, that acquisition. And for a 5th round pick, still, I mean, giving up barely nothing. That's identifying the right player for the right price.
Yeah, it's almost like Ron Francis knows a little bit more about hockey than you and I, RJ.
I'd say so.
Not a ton of people I'd feel super confident saying that about, but I'll go ahead and give that to Ron Francis. I'll bestow that honor upon him. He can take that and clear. I'll give you a plaque, Ron, if you want. You can clear out some space on the trophy shelf for it.
Dylan said I knew more about hockey than he does.
Comfortably. I comfortably said that. And I'd put that in quotes too. Comfortably. Lindsay, Dunn deserves the Davy Jones hat for standing up for Maddie. Full stop. I 1000% agree.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the Davy Jones hat is all about, right? When you stand up for a teammate. I think back to last season when Matty Beniers came in and stood up for Justin Schultz after he got boarded, and they gave him the Davy Jones hat. And Yanni, I think, was the one giving it to him. And he said, he scored a goal. That's great. But what really matters is that he stood up for his teammate. That's what this is all about. Matty gave him the hat, so I think going back the other way, it should certainly go to Vince Dunn.
I believe Ty Cartier got it earlier this year for doing the same thing as well. So I'm with you, Lindsay. I think that's the way it's got to go. Let's see. Maddie pointing out Bjorky and Tolvey with great reverse hits in these games. Yeah, that's true. As we were talking about that, from Maddie's standpoint here. Let's see. Daniel had a great time in San Diego. It was so fun to see the Firebirds, even though they lost. Unfortunately, I got COVID on the way home. Oh no! I hope
Oh
you
no.
feel better, Daniel. Hope it's not so too bad or anything. And sorry you saw a rare loss for the Firebirds down in San Diego, but I still hope you had a fun time there. RJ, I've been talking for years. I got to get down to San Diego to watch a game. I've always wanted to go to a goals game.
I know you'd love it too, and I know you've been a fan of the Gulls even before the Kraken, the Firebirds existed. I know you've wanted to get down there and to see the Firebirds down there too for a road game. I know road games are always kind of fun in a different way, right?
Yeah.
You haven't seen the Firebirds for a road game, have you?
Nope, only ever there in Coachella Valley.
That'd be pretty great.
It would be a lot of fun.
Also, Zoe pointing out for the Xavier Jones hat, Larson is the one to hand out the hat too, because he's got it. He's got to give it to Dunner. That's as much of a slam dunk as you can get.
I would assume so, yes. I mean, the only thing he could be worried about is if everybody was then going to point the finger at him and say he's favoritism, right? Like that would be the only concern.
Just pull up a video of the fight. That's all you need.
That's all you have to do. Yeah, I feel like this would be the one to do it. I think
if you claim favoritism, the Dundertaker will come get you. You know,
yes,
that's all you need to say.
Definitely. Hockey Fork, think it would be more emotionally responsible to be chasing the Preds for a wild card spot, not like the Oilers aren't going into the top 3 in the Pacific. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you're chasing one of the Kings, Vegas, or Edmonton for that one spot, and then really you're just chasing Nashville for another one. And I get you. Like it's certainly the more reasonable one to be chasing, I feel like, is Nashville.
Realistic for sure. I just it's going to be really hard to climb to these top 3 in the Pacific.
Yeah, unless you're somebody who wants to aim high, in which case Vancouver, it's still technically doable.
Yeah, I mean it is, but also again, I might rather be a wild card team and face Vancouver in the first round rather than get one of Vegas, LA, or Edmonton.
I would.
Seeding means nothing, Dylan.
It doesn't. I'm with you. I totally agree on this.
Yeah.
I think all 32 teams should just make the playoffs. Why not? Just go for it. Maximize profit, NHL. You know you want to. Go for it.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Look, either that or just play 100-game regular season and give it to whoever has the most points at the end, because that would be the largest sample size and that makes the most sense. But I'm not trying to start anything here. Vahiren, the discussion is interesting part, not the grades. Although we did talk about the prospect rankings being motivational for certain players. That is true. Well, that prospect chat that I did, that did end up help, get some people going there. John, I think the NHL would love that story if we got both teams, Edmonton and the Kraken, together undefeated, but of course they would favor the Oilers. Well, yes, they would definitely favor the Oilers. No doubt about that, but I'm fine being the underdogs. Like, who doesn't want to be the underdog?
Yeah, totally. In a game like this where hopefully a lot of the league's eyes would be on it. What is it, 6 o'clock start time? Maybe it's a little late for the East Coasters, but that's one you'd really hope that people stayed up to watch.
I think they would. They would in Canada anyway. I'll give them that. Let's see. The Larson Everly goal was their tribute to the Huskies with the deep ball from Demers. That's true.
Yep.
Just going
Penix Dunze right there.
Yep, that's it. Yes, and Lindsay pointed out the Kraken are wearing the Winter Classic jerseys on February 24th and March 24th to stick with the good 24-year vibes. I didn't even put that together that's what they were doing. That's so cool.
Yeah, that is. I didn't think about that at the time, but yeah, Year of the Kraken, 2024.
That is fantastic. Joey, not Joey DeCord. Talking about a different Joey here in chat. What team is Victor Rask on?
I think we had Absurdly Sane answer this here in chat. He's with Rapperswil Jona in the Swiss League right now.
Yep. But you know what? If there was to be a second center injury, RJ, I think we bring him back, don't you?
Sure. Why not? Just to see your reaction.
I didn't get to talk to him, okay? I was there for a goal. Everything was set up perfectly. They bring him in as one of the 2 people we get to talk to. Like, what are the odds of that? Year 1, right? And I go to ask my question. I got sniped. I got completely sniped. So I still didn't ever get to talk to Victor Rask. Got to make it happen. Ron, I gave you props. I said you're smarter than me. Do me this solid.
See, Dylan he always has an ulterior motive. Any kind of compliment, anything like that. Just know.
I try not
he
to.
Wants from you.
I try not to. I don't know what it is at the time, but I always find a way to call in that favor regardless. It's just like this.
So right.
Oh man. Oh, that's so crazy. Lindsay, maybe we should leave in Schultz for the Penguins revenge game, then get a fresh Riker in for the Rangers. That is an interesting approach. You could do that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that. Like, look, Schultz wasn't terrible. I just saw some negative moments in this one where I'm like, maybe give someone else a try. I mean, the one where he really got walked by whoever that was. Who was that? And then they had the centering pass. Joey made a fantastic save on it, but like just the angle he took, he just looked slow.
Yeah, see, I was gonna say you could point out everybody on the D for this game and point to
There was
probably
a moment or
multiple
two. Yeah, I
plays.
gotcha.
Yeah, that they struggled. So I'm kind of willing to chalk this one up to just the group had a rough game rather than it just being on one or two individuals. Daniel pointing out, hard to believe the season's already half over. Weren't the Kraken in first place about this time last year? One of the top teams in the Pacific could start slipping. I mean, look, we're seeing that from the Kings and from Vegas. So it is definitely, certainly possible.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen, certainly. I mean, we're seeing it, Vegas is starting to slip. Jack Eichel's going to be out a while. You never know, certainly with injuries too.
Yep. And Viren pointing out, if Dunn got the Davy Jones hat, he would be the first person this year to get it twice. This
Love
season,
that.
not this year.
Well, yeah, no, I know. But again,
yeah.
Viren just keeping track of the Davy Jones hat. If we ever have any questions about who it's gone to, where the history, anything, we know Viren's right there for that.
Yep. Habak, we're all-time 3-1 against the Penguins. Is this a trap game?
It shouldn't be. Certainly not after a game
tonight
like
was
tonight.
the trap game. Tonight
Yeah.
was the trap game, and you almost fell for it, right? Like you stepped on the trigger, and then you were able to find your way out of it, right? Movie hero style. That's what you did tonight. Like the next game is then, well, I guess maybe that turns into the next one, right? Like you get out of the one thing and you think you're in the clear, and then boom, second trap.
That would be smart by whoever's laying the trap, but I don't think that's how it works. Again, it shouldn't be, because this should have been the warning sign for you. If you're handling things the right way mentally, as it looks like the Kraken are, you don't win 9 games in a row. If you're not, then the next game shouldn't be a problem for you, at least as far as your mindset.
Definitely. Nicole, JT's Go Dogs on the broadcast today, lol. That was fantastic. After they put up all the guys who went to Michigan, JT with the Go Dogs, that was perfect.
That was awesome.
Much better than the other college shout out that was on this broadcast, just saying.
Yep. Well, yeah.
Don't need to mention who said what, but if you were listening, that one was not as fun. Apparently, let's see, Nicole, Preds just scored the most whack goal to take the lead with 7.1 seconds left. Because of course, RJ. Kraken just cannot catch a break. Win 9 games in a row, and you just barely make up any ground. This league.
Yep.
I do wonder what the wackiness was on that one.
I know. I'm trying to look it up right now.
Yeah, and Aaron pointing out all these teams around the crack of winning tonight. Blues tied though. All right, so there's that one. Daniel, let me know, in San Diego, you can sit wherever you want. Just buy the cheapest tickets. I love arenas like that. You buy the nosebleeds, you just move on down because who cares?
Yeah, not a bad seat in the house.
And that is good stuff there for sure. And then Jen, they're doing it for my birthday game regarding the Winter Classic jerseys. Oh, okay, sweet. Well, you have to let us know for that one,
yeah.
Jen. Yeah, no, good stuff there. I mean, we'll do a quick last call here for everybody. I know we've talked about a lot. There was some stuff to talk about with this game. A lot of it's just still enjoying this role that the Kraken have been on. It's just it doesn't seem to be ending. None of us want it to be ending. It's all good stuff there. So I'll do a quick last call. RJ, I know we've already kind of talked about some stuff for the upcoming couple games. I mean, really, without knowing the health of Berkey and Maddie, it's hard to get too much into it. We talked about the goaltending situation. I mean, yeah, there's not too much to preview ahead other than just find a way to not do what you did tonight. Start the game, maybe. Like, it's the second half of the road trip, right? You did the 3 games. Now go do these 3 games. Start the games early and still finish strong. Find a way to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be a big indicator is starting on time, especially with the early start time against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Like I know the Kraken are not used to that 10 a.m. start, and that's what on the 10 a.m. So it's 1 p.m. on
Yep.
the East Coast. Like still, they're used to that's morning skate time. It's kind of
Yeah.
puts them out of their rhythm, and it's going to be kind of a double challenge there. But I think that's going to be an indicator of whether their mindset is in the right place. I think the first 10 minutes or so are going to tell you a whole lot about what the Kraken have done over the last couple days.
Yep, definitely absurdly sane. I'd like to point out that I absolutely called the next goal is go ahead and never look back goal. Awesome, good for you. They're absurdly sane. It did have that feel to it.
It
I
did.
was saying something similar, but that is still a good call for
It seems like
sure.
in games like that, when you have a team that just comes back, tie it, is if they can just take the lead, it feels like they never look back most of the time. Also, I
Yeah.
watched that wacky Preds goal to take the
Uh-huh.
lead. Yeah, it hits a player in front and just kind of pops up in the air and drops into the net. Also, assisting on that goal, Jeremy Lauzon with the primary assist.
Of course he would be. Why wouldn't he on a goal like that? Sam, speaking of college football, I wonder how split Fantilli must be being a Michigan alum despite playing in the heart of Ohio. Yeah, I'm sure that's a lot of fun for him.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm sure he sticks with the Michigan side of things. I know Matty
I
Beniers certainly did around
Yeah.
National Championship week.
Yeah, I think you have to in those situations.
It's your alma
Zoe,
mater. Can't blame a guy.
yep. Zoe, how about that all-star fan vote? Basically just Vancouver and Toronto. Yes. And then I know somebody else had pointed out earlier about the all-star game jerseys, RJ. And we'll get into this fully on the Red Glare podcast. But for now, your immediate reactions to one or both of those?
As far as the Vancouver and Toronto thing, like I'm not surprised at all. I knew this was going to happen. This is what a couple post games ago. I tried to level with all of you and say, look,
Yeah, you did.
there is no chance that Dunn or Decor is going to make the All-Star game. You cannot outvote Toronto and Vancouver. Turns out nobody could, not just Kraken fans. Nobody could. And you know what? I think that's a good thing. If I'm a Canucks fan, I wouldn't want that. I don't want all my guys traveling to Toronto and going to play in this All-Star game. Like I think it's a better result for the Kraken, honestly.
Yeah, I made my thoughts known on Twitter when those jerseys were revealed. Because at first I was like, look, these graphics with just all Maple Leafs and Canucks on them are ridiculous. And then those jerseys, RJ, those hideous, horrible jerseys. And I'm sorry if you like them, but you shouldn't. Out there, if anybody likes them, you shouldn't like these jerseys. They're bad. And they're bad. And so I said, look, on second thought, you know what? Let those two fan bases have to spend the ridiculous amount of money that they're going to want to buy those jerseys because they are terrible.
Yep. I mean, hey, designed in collaboration with Justin Bieber. What do you expect?
That's all you need to know. Why do they wrap her like around? Like the fact that like with the arms straight down, you can't see the full crest. Like that's insane. It's so big. It's so big. And they're just like weird primary. They look like a team of the Wiggles. That's what they look like. It's all the Wiggles colors. Like
Save it for the Red Glare, Dylan.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm on a roll. Aaron, a bit annoyed that they aren't wearing the Winter Classic sweaters for a red line package game. That is annoying. Oh, that's a real bummer, actually.
Yeah, those
I'm
are both blue
surprised they
line
did that.
games. Yeah.
I get that you're going for with those two with the games like that with the number and everything, but still should have thrown both ticket packages, given them a Winter Classic game. I believe that. Such a downgrade from last season. They look like Power Rangers in my opinion from Brook. Very similar, same thing, right? You just go with basic primary colors, like that's just what you're doing. Bad All-Star jerseys. Okay, I got to see this from Edward. Yeah, no, they're rough. And then I think we could probably finish on this one, RJ from Habak. Lauzon's still terrorizing our playoff chances. A man of culture.
He knows what he's all about. You know what?
There's one thing Jeremy Lauzon's good at, and that's sinking the Kraken's chances of the playoffs.
Consistency was never an issue. I'll just say that much.
It's perfect. Perfect. Oh, good stuff there. Thank you everybody for joining us for this one. Thanks to the Kraken for continuing to win and make these post games lots of fun. Appreciate them. I don't think we thank them enough, actually, RJ, on these post game lives. Thank the Kraken for the good results. Of course, got to thank Flatstick Pub for sponsoring this one. I know we have like kind of the closer collaboration with the South Lake Union location, but I did want to throw this out there because I learned this the other day. That Pioneer Square location, holes 2 through 8, RJ, of the mini golf course, spell out Seattle. The mini golf holes
Oh,
are
that's
the letters
cool.
of Seattle, and I think that's really fun, and that's something I'd like to try one trip up there when I'm not so busy around the Winter Classic and stuff. So I want to throw that out there for everybody. And then, of course, give a huge thank you to everybody who gave super chats earlier on in this. We really appreciate that. That means a lot to us. Really does.
Yeah, definitely. I just think the spelling out Seattle, that's a fun bit of trivia, and which
Right?
is actually trivia, by the way.
Yes, that is
Not just
actually
guessing something
trivia.
in the future.
Not just guessing
Sorry,
the
not to throw
future.
shade anywhere, but it's actually trivia.
That is true. That is true. All right, everybody. We'll see you all next time.